I think this section will be very interesting to you. Project reconnaissance. Spotting trouble and hidden gems. Once you've made sure that you can find your way around your project mix as quickly as possible, it's time to start listening through the tracks individually so you can build a picture of what's there. Even if you recorded the whole production yourself, or you're already familiar with a previous rough mix, there's a lot to be gained from listening to at least a snatch of each multi-track file on its own before you properly start working in the mix. For a start, it's a good opportunity to edit out any silences in your audio files, which not only reduces strain on your computer resources, but also typically makes the spread of recorded material across the timeline clearer to see. Plus, you get the opportunity to deal with purely technical issues such as unwanted background noise, audio glitches, and lumpy audio edits, which might otherwise slip through the net when everything's going at once. I will always begin a mix with cleaning up the session, says 𝗦𝗫𝗁, doing crossfades, making sure there's no headphone bleed or pops. I hate pops. I spend a lot of time making sure everything is smooth and clean. Another benefit to be gained from checking through the individual tracks before getting down to mixing is that this process often unearths moments of magic that have been all but hidden by competing arrangement layers. Maybe it's a fantastic little string bend, fill from one of your guitarists, a cheeky little ad-lib tucked away at the end of a backtracking vocal, or some choice words from the drummer as he spills coffee over himself. Basically anything that makes you laugh, smile, boogie, or punch the air. One of the most surefire ways to win over most clients is to dramatically unveil forgotten gems like these in your mix, because they can make the mix sound fresher without you actually having to add anything. In fact, several times I've been congratulated for putting a new part into a mix, when all I've done is dredge up one of the client's own buried sounds that had long since faded from their memory. The beauty of this trick when mixing other people's work is that it's low risk, because anything original in the multi-track file implicitly bears the client's seal of approval, whereas there's nothing like that guarantee for any truly new parts you might add. So in this paragraph he's talking about using those hidden gems, and those hidden gems can be absolutely buried underneath so many sounds in your arrangement. So dig those up, and especially if it's a recognizable sound for your client, if it's a familiar sound that your client likes, then that already has the seal of approval, as the author says. So it'd be a good idea to add that, because you have the certainty. Again, do make use of your DAW's systems coloring tools to highlight these kind of special moments, because they're usually scattered thinly across a variety of tracks in most productions, and you'll lose track of them all otherwise. There are few activities more soul-destroying mid-mixdown than searching laboriously through 24 tracks of vocals for that one killer vocal ad-lib. It always seems to be on track 23, and after all, that it actually turns out to have the wrong lyrics. Molting. The final thing that you can do to upgrade your project reconnaissance is any molting you think might be necessary. In the context of DAW mixing system, the word molting primarily refers to the procedure of chopping up a single audio file and distributing the pieces across several different tracks, thereby allowing each file section to benefit from its own mix settings. This simple technique is a terrifically powerful ally of the small studio engineer, and given the enormous track counts now available on modern computers, you can afford to go on mulling to your nosebleeds. The simplest application is where any instrument plays significantly different parts in different sections of a song. A single acoustic guitar, for example, may well need very different treatments for its verse finger pickings and chorus strumming, so multing those sections to different tracks makes great sense. It's also common for important parts such as lead vocals, rhythm loops, or bass instruments to be multed over several tracks so that their processing adjusts to adapt to section by section changes in the backing arrangement. So what the author is talking about here is not, when he says track, he means tracks like on your channel, like in your DAW. He's talking about tracks, not like songs. And that is so important for the small studio engineer because we have our PCs, we have incredibly powerful modern computers. So yes, separate it all out. Use your computer resources. Separate it all out onto several tracks so then processing and mixing is a whole lot easier. Quote, I use many different EQ and delay settings in many different parts of the song, says Spike Stent, for example. So when you have one vocal that goes all the way through a track, it may be multi-tracked 3 or 4 times to different EQs and different effects. You will normally find that the verse and chorus vocals sound entirely different. How often do you hear that in pop songs? The verse and the chorus just sound entirely different. You know, of course, not like pop songs like on the radio, but when you are making like that popular kind of music, you have a verse and then a chorus. There's different audio effects entirely for each, respectively. Mike Shipley is willing to push these concepts to extremes if necessary. Oh, interesting. Quote, it's just a matter of making the voice sit in the right place, and if it takes 10 channels to do it with different EQ for different parts of the song, then that's what it takes. One sample, one voice, 10 different channels, different EQ settings for all 10 different channels. That's what it takes. I agree. Another frequent target for multing in my mixes is backing vocal parts. A single backing vocal track can easily have several phrases within it that all serve different purposes, especially within dense pop or R&B vocal arrangements. Verse oohs, pre-chorus ad-libs, chorus harmonies, whispering in the middle section. The list of possibilities goes on. Multing out all these bits and grouping tracks of similar phrases together is often the only way to make sense of things in the mix, and that's the goal here. We want clear, precise sounds. We want exact, good musical sounds. And multing, you're going to have to mult a lot for your backtracks. If you have ad-libs, if you're in rap, it's impossible to predict everything you might want to mult until you're actually mixing. So be prepared to come back to it at any later stage. But if you can, handle the bulk of obvious mults before the mixdown, it'll not only speed up the process of familiarizing yourself with the material on the disc, but it'll also save unnecessary interruptions of your mixing flow later on. Correction time. If you followed through all the steps in this chapter, locating the track and time location of anything you hear in the mix should be a no-brainer, which is exactly what you want it to be, because you've got much bigger fish to fry. You should also have a smattering of tracks and audio segments that you've colored to indicate that they need special attention. I think that's the biggest takeaway. Spend time to make a template. Ableton, I use Ableton for my DAW. It has so many great possibilities for your templates. Maximize and optimize your templates. It's going to save you so much time, heartache, stress. You should also have a smattering of tracks and audio segments that you've color coordinated, whether that's corrective processing or just adding emphasis in the mix. The next stage is to attend to any timing and tuning concerns, an activity that warrants close scrutiny in the next chapter, which we will cover next time, tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you liked. Thanks for watching.